Imagine a tale so extravagant, so impossibly theatrical, it sounds like pure fiction. We're talking about an 18th century scandal that didn't just shake the court of France, it practically detonated the entire monarchy.
It really did.
This is a story glittering with diamonds, featuring a desperate cardinal caught in this web of deceit, and a con artist so audacious she could charm the birds out of the trees and then probably sell them.
It's a story that truly is stranger than fiction, definitely. And what makes it so pivotal is how a single, incredibly opulent piece of jewelry became far more than just a jewel.
Right.
It became a symbol irrevocably damaging a queen's reputation. A queen who, ironically, was completely innocent of any wrongdoing in the affair itself.
Completely innocent. It's incredible.
Yeah, this wasn't merely some dramatic episode. It was a catalyst, setting the stage for one of history's most significant and violent upheavals,
Yeah.
the French Revolution.
And to truly grasp the seismic impact of this deep dive, we need to transport ourselves back. Paris, 1785. What was it like? A city of breathtaking contrasts, right?
Absolutely. You had the air thick with the scent of both expensive perfumes and a burgeoning public discontent. Versailles, the glittering heart of the French monarchy, was just this beacon of unparalleled luxury and excess, a world unto itself.
But just beyond those gilded gates.
A different reality simmered, yeah. The old order, what we now call the Ancien Regime, was already under immense scrutiny. Public trust in the monarchy, and especially in Queen Marie Antoinette, was eroding fast.
So the ground was fertile for scandal.
Incredibly fertile. The gap between the opulent lifestyles of the aristocracy and the daily struggles of the common people was just becoming undeniably vast. It created this perfect environment for any scandal to take root, to be twisted, and frankly, to spread like wildfire.
And this affair, this extraordinary diamond necklace saga, was precisely that match hitting the tinder.
Exactly.
And what a story it is. Let's start with the literal star of our show, the item around which this entire incredible drama unfolds, the diamond necklace itself.
Yes, the necklace.
This wasn't just any piece of jewelry. This was the crown jeweler's ultimate ambition, a veritable behemoth of bling.
A truly magnificent piece, though some described it as almost a garish showpiece. It was the brainchild of two renowned Parisian crown jewelers, Charles Baumer and Paul Bassage.
Right, Baumer and Bassage.
And these men dedicated years, starting in the early 1770s, to meticulously gathering, cutting, and setting each stone. You can just imagine the scale of commitment involved. Years of their lives.
Years. Just picturing the meticulous craftsmanship, the sheer dedication, the immense capital tied up in such an undertaking. This incredible creation glittered with a staggering 647 diamonds.
647.
Weighing an astonishing 2,800 carats. It must have been truly breathtaking, a dazzling, almost overwhelming display of wealth and artistry.
Breathtaking, yes, but also a colossal gamble for Baumer and Bassage. The necklace was originally commissioned and intended for King Louis XV's beloved mistress, Madame du Barry.
Ah, du Barry, okay.
The jewelers poured immense resources, not just their time and skill, but their entire financial future into this singular monumental piece. Its immense cost, around 2 million livres,
2 million.
was staggering, even by royal standards. To put that into perspective for you, that's roughly equivalent to well over $15 million in today's money.
Wow. $15 million for a necklace.
It was an astronomical sum, enough to fund small navies, let alone purchase a piece of jewelry.
But then fate, with its usual dramatic flair, intervened with a truly cruel twist.
Didn't it just?
King Louis XV, the patron and the man for whom the necklace was ultimately intended, died of smallpox in 1774, tragically before the necklace could even be delivered to Madame du Barry.
Which instantly upended everything for Baumer and Bassage.
Everything.
Absolutely. And with his death came an immediate change in court dynamics. Madame du Barry, the intended wearer, was promptly and unceremoniously banished from court by the new young queen, Marie Antoinette.
Ouch. So the jewelers were stuck.
Completely stuck, left them in an absolutely desperate predicament. Think about it. Years of your life, millions of livres, that $15 million equivalent sunk into a singular colossal asset only for its intended buyer and recipient to vanish from the scene entirely.
Oh, man.
They had this magnificent, unsellable white elephant on their hands, and their personal and financial solvency were entirely tied up in this one dazzling yet incredibly problematic piece.
So in their growing desperation, they naturally pivoted. They looked to the new king, Louis VI, and his young queen, Marie Antoinette.
The logical next step.
She was, after all, famously known for her love of fashion, her penchant for finery, a certain extravagant taste. They must have thought, aha, our salvation.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
They surely believed she would be the perfect candidate to take this dazzling, unsellable necklace off their hands, securing their future and saving their business.
And it was a perfectly logical assumption, given Marie Antoinette's reputation at the time. She certainly had a well-known fondness for jewels and gowns. But what's truly fascinating and deeply ironic about this moment is the complexity of her actual response.
What did she do?
She refused it, not once, but twice.
Twice. She refused that necklace twice.
Twice. This was a critical, fateful turning point that would set the entire scandal in motion.
But why? Why would she, of all people, turn down something so magnificent, especially given her known love for luxury? What reasons did she give? What was going on there?
Well, the sources offer a few compelling and maybe somewhat contradictory reasons. Some accounts suggest she genuinely found it to be gaudy excess, perhaps a bit too over the top.
Too much bling, even for her.
Possibly. Or maybe she disliked its association with her husband's former mistress. It wasn't just jewelry. It carried the baggage of the previous reign's affairs.
Okay, that makes sense. She'd want to distance herself.
Exactly. But crucially, and perhaps more surprisingly, she voiced significant practical concerns. France's treasury was already severely strained, teetering on the brink after costly wars.
Right. The American Revolution hadn't helped.
Not at all. And even Marie Antoinette, despite her reputation for lavish spending, seemed to understand that acquiring a 2 million livre necklace, a sum that could build several warships, would appear horribly indulgent to a public already struggling.
So she was actually being fiscally responsible here.
It seems so in this instance. Quite surprising, perhaps.
And the jewelers, particularly Boehmer, didn't exactly take this rejection gracefully, did he? I read he practically put on a performance.
Oh, high drama in the royal chambers. Boehmer, in his absolute gut-wrenching desperation, dramatically begged her to buy it. He was reportedly sobbing, swooning, even threatening to kill himself right there in her presence.
Wow, that's intense.
Utterly public display of his plight. But Marie Antoinette remained unmoved, perhaps even a little exasperated by his theatrics. She famously retorted that the French Navy needed more 74-gun warships, the formidable 74s, far more than she needed another necklace.
That's quite a comeback, and surprisingly practical.
It really is. It resonates as this moment of almost prescient fiscal responsibility from a queen, often painted as oblivious and frivolous.
Which makes her final, cool advice to the jewelers even more poignant, doesn't it? What does she tell them to do?
She simply told them to break it apart and sell the diamonds individually to recover their costs.
Just dismantle.
Dismantle it. For Marie Antoinette, that was truly the end of the matter. Decision made, gaudy bauble rejected. But for France, and tragically for her, it was just the beginning of a truly devastating chapter.
Her attempt to be responsible, to prioritize the nation's needs, inadvertently cleared the path for her greatest public relations disaster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a rejection of jewelry. It positioned her, completely unknowingly, for this immense fall. She tried to act responsibly, but in the unforgiving court of public perception, intent rarely matters as much as appearance, especially when trust is already eroding.
It's a classic example of how even good intentions can be twisted.
Exactly. Had she bought it, sure, there would have been criticism. But this specific scandal, this narrative, would never have happened. Her decision, ironically, paved the way for the real villains to step onto the stage.
And that brings us to our next key player, a figure of significant standing, immense privilege, yet one consumed by this deep, gnawing humiliation. Cardinal Louis de Rohan. Tell us about this character.
Cardinal Louis de Rohan. He was a complex individual, truly a prince of the church from one of France's most illustrious aristocratic families. He held incredibly powerful positions. Bishop of Strasbourg, member of the Académie Française, he'd even been the French ambassador to Vienna.
So a major player, high society, high church.
The highest, accustomed to the very top circles of power and influence. But beneath all that outward grandeur, he harbored this secret, aching humiliation, a profound disgrace that would become his central vulnerability.
And that humiliation, as the sources detail, was directly tied to Queen Marie Antoinette herself. He had fallen deeply out of favor with her. That royal cold shoulder must have been unbearable for a man like him.
Absolutely unbearable. Years earlier, while ambassador in Vienna, Rohan had gravely offended Marie Antoinette's formidable mother, Empress Maria Theresa.
How did he manage that?
Well, he was known for his love of gossip, his somewhat dissolute lifestyle, and some unbecoming, possibly even slanderous behavior concerning the Empress.
Hmm.
Maria Theresa, who was not someone you crossed lightly,
No kidding.
branded him a dreadful type without morals, and demanded his recall. Her judgment was absolute. And Marie Antoinette, deeply devoted to her mother's memory and explicitly following her late mother's advice, never forgave him.
Never forgave him.
Never. She pointedly and very publicly excluded the Cardinal from her inner circle throughout the 1780s, denying him any chance to regain the favor he so desperately craved.
So here's this proud nobleman, used to being at the center of power, suddenly frozen out by the most important woman in France. You can imagine how utterly unbearable that was for a man with such lofty ambitions. He wanted back in, badly.
At virtually any cost.
Right.
And that profound desperation, that aching vulnerability, that intense desire for rehabilitation is precisely what made him the perfect mark for an ingenious con.
He was ripe for the picking.
Totally. Rohan wasn't just ambitious, he was deeply insecure about his standing, haunted by this disgrace. He was ready to believe anyone who could credibly promise a path back into royal favor, no matter how unlikely it seemed. His pride was his Achilles' heel.
A wound that Jean de la Motte was about to exploit with terrifying precision. And that brings us to the true mastermind of this incredible swindle, Jeanne de Valois-Saint-Remy, who styled herself as the Comtesse de la Motte. Now, she was something else.
Oh, she really was.
Described as an impoverished adventuress with a pedigreed name and a talent for deceit. Quite the introduction.
A truly remarkable and utterly ruthless figure. She did style herself as a countess, leveraging a rather tenuous claim of distant Valois lineage through an illegitimate line. She clung to this noble, if tarnished, heritage.
Believing it entitled her to a better life.
Exactly, a life of luxury and influence. But despite her claims and relentless social climbing, Versailles society largely despised her. They saw her as an upstart with a shady reputation.
And the queen.
Marie Antoinette herself refused to even grant her an audience, a slight that just fueled Jean's already simmering resentment. So Jean, hungry for wealth, status, and burning with this desire for revenge against the queen who spurned her, knew she had to find other ways.
Less conventional avenues.
Much less conventional. Her personal life reads like a scandalous novel, a constant scramble. She was married to Nicolas de la Motte, an officer whose income was nowhere near enough for Jean's ambitions.
So she cultivated connections.
Powerful connections. Recognizing they were currency, she took lovers, often wealthy, powerful men. One connection brought her to Rétaux de Villette, a smooth-talking forger.
A forger. Crucial skill.
Absolutely indispensable accomplice. And in a truly audacious move, by 1783, she had managed to ensnare Cardinal de Rohan himself, becoming his mistress.
Rohan's mistress. Wow.
In Rohan, she saw both a source of immense wealth, rich, powerful, but incredibly naive, and the perfect pawn for her larger schemes against the queen.
So Jean de la Motte had all the pieces. The desperate cardinal, the personal grudge, the forger, the hunger for money and status. The stage was perfectly set for this audacious fraud.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating isn't just the audacity, but how meticulously she cultivated Rohan's belief. She knew exactly what he wanted, reconciliation with the queen, and she fed that desire, spoonful by careful spoonful.
He started with this elaborate deception, a secret correspondence. She spun this tale that she was the queen's secret confidant, right? Handling personal errands, intimate messages.
Precisely. Building that trust. And Rohan, desperate and naive, was utterly enthralled. He saw Jean as his singular bridge back to Marie Antoinette. He genuinely believed that if he could please the queen, act as her secret agent, all his past offenses would be forgiven, his influence restored.
He wanted it so badly.
So badly. It speaks volumes about his yearning for royal favor. And his fatal flaw, as the sources repeatedly point out, was being blinded by hope. He never stopped to question whether Jean's supposed royal friendship was real. He simply let his guard down completely.
Wanted to believe it too much. Classic con artist move.
Textbook. Find the mark's deepest desire, their greatest insecurity, and present yourself as the key. Rohan's desperation made him ignore all the red flags, which were, as we'll see, glaringly obvious.
And that brings us to the actual plot, which unfolded in stages. First, the forged letters. The secret correspondence that built the whole illusion.
Yes. Jeanne, working with Villette, started delivering letters to Rohan that looked like they were from Marie Antoinette herself. They used stolen stationery, and Villette skillfully replicated the queen's distinct signature and private seal.
Impressive forgery.
Very. The letters addressed Rohan with his carefully crafted warmth, hinting at secret approval despite her public coldness. Psychological manipulation at its finest.
So Rohan, completely taken in, eagerly responded, pouring out heartfelt promises of loyalty, right? writing directly to Her Majesty.
Exactly. But of course, those letters went straight into Jean's hands. He was writing to a ghost. She and Villette were scripting both sides of this entirely imaginary friendship. Rohan suspected nothing, drawn deeper under Jean's sway with every fake reply.
He was completely hooked. And then came the ultimate piece of theater, designed to cement his belief, the midnight rendezvous.
A stroke of genius in its audacity, precisely calculated to dazzle Rohan. Jean promised him a clandestine personal meeting with the Queen herself, a secret tryst. Imagine Rohan's excitement, his anxiety, on that warm summer night, August 11, 1784.
And the setting. The shadowy gardens of Versailles, the grove of Venus under flickering torchlight. It sounds like pure stagecraft.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Meticulously choreographed. In the semi-darkness, Rohan was dazzled. He truly believed he was meeting Marie Antoinette. But the Queen was actually a young Parisian prostitute named Nicole de Liva.
A look-alike.
Chosen for a passing resemblance, dressed in a black cloak with a hood to obscure her features. The decoy spoke only briefly, offered a single rose, and whispered the words, "You may now hope that the past will be forgotten."
Simple but powerful.
Incredibly powerful. And those words, in that atmosphere, were all it took. Rohan was utterly elated. This surreal midnight encounter banished any remaining doubts. He was now utterly convinced Jean had the Queen's ear and approval.
Completely in her thrall.
And Jean capitalized immediately. She started having him pay handsome sums for Her Majesty's wishes. Charitable works, secret causes, supposedly.
But really?
Every single livre went straight into Jean's purse, funding her increasingly lavish lifestyle.
But those are just appetizers, right? The main course was still out there. The diamond necklace.
Precisely. The coup de grace. In late 1784, Jeanne confided in Rohan. The Queen, despite her public rejections, had changed her mind about the necklace.
Changed her mind. How does Jeanne explain that reversal?
Very cleverly. She fabricated a reason that played directly into the Queen's actual concerns. Marie Antoinette, she claimed, still yearned for the diamonds, but simply could not be seen buying such an extravagance when the country's finances were in shambles.
Ah, so it explained the secrecy.
Perfectly. It made sense of the earlier refusal and provided a reason for a secret deal. So the secret commission. The Queen was supposedly asking Rohan to acquire the necklace on her behalf in secret, promising eternal gratitude and his restored favor at court. The ultimate carrot.
And to seal the deal, another forged letter from Marie Antoinette.
Yes, imploring Rohan to arrange the purchase quietly, promising installment repayments. But here's where Rohan missed that crucial, glaring red flag.
What was it?
The letter was signed Marie Antoinette de France.
De France.
A real French queen would never sign that way. Queen signed only with her given name. It was an obvious error, one any courtier, let alone a cardinal, should have spotted immediately.
But Rohan, blinded by the prospect of playing hero to the Queen.
Just powered right through it, didn't see it or didn't want to see it. He approached Boehmer and Bassange, announcing he had a secret commission directly from the Queen to buy their long unsold diamond necklace.
And he offered his own credit.
His own impeccable credit, name and backing of a prince of the church, for 1.6 million livres, payable in 4 installments, supposedly on the Queen's behalf.
The jewelers must have been ecstatic.
Immense delight and relief. At last, a buyer. And they believed it was direct royal patronage. Their years of financial distress seemed over.
So February 1st, 1785, the handoff.
The jewelers, satisfied, handed the gleaming necklace to Cardinal Rohan. And the Cardinal, still completely duped, brimming with pride, promptly delivered it straight into Jean de la Motte's waiting hands.
And just like that, poof.
The necklace vanished. The physical evidence of the con was gone. And for everyone involved, especially the completely oblivious Queen, the real trouble, the monarchy-shattering scandal, was only just beginning.
That physical exchange was just the end of Act 1.
Absolutely. Securing the necklace was one thing. The unraveling of the deception, that would prove far more destructive than Jeanne could have ever imagined.
And Jeanne and her husband, Nicolas, they didn't hang on to it for long, did they? With breathtaking audacity, they got rid of it almost immediately.
Couldn't keep something that recognizable. Jeanne quickly passed it to Nicolas, who had plans ready. Piece by piece, the La Mottes pried the hundreds of diamonds from their settings, dismantling the evidence.
Methodical destruction. Hundreds of diamonds plucked out. And Nicolas.
Didn't waste time. Within days, he slipped out of France and traveled to London, aiming for the black markets there, planning to sell the stones individually.
Turning diamonds into untraceable cash.
Exactly. Funding their escape. their new lifestyle. Meanwhile, back in France, poor Rohan still believed it was safe with the Queen at Versailles.
Probably picturing her wearing it. He was innocently expecting some discreet sign, her wearing the diamonds at court, maybe a subtle nod to confirm his success.
But as winter turned to spring to summer 1785, nothing. No public display, no private acknowledgement, just silence.
While he waited, Jeanne and her circle were
Profiting hand over fist in England, squandering the loot. And Rohan remained firmly on the hook to pay the jewelers the enormous sum due, still completely unaware.
For a few months, the whole thing stayed under wraps. The first payment wasn't due yet, secrecy was maintained. Jeanne kept stringing along the Cardinal with reassuring messages from the Queen.
But by mid-1785, the cracks appeared. Beaumer and Bessings grew anxious. That first huge installment, 400,000 livres, was due August 1st, and crickets. No word from the court. Their relief turned to serious apprehension.
So Beaumer, getting desperate, decided to go direct. July 12, 1785, he sent a polite note to Marie Antoinette.
Very polite, yes. Subtly inquiring about her pleasure with the necklace and gently reminding her of the upcoming payment. A carefully worded but loaded message.
And the Queen's reaction?
Utter bewilderment, irritation. She had never ordered any necklace nor received one. Couldn't fathom what he was talking about. Assuming it was a mistake, some bizarre rumor, she scribbled a note to dismiss the matter and even tellingly burned Beaumer's letter.
Burned the evidence, believing it was just a mix-up.
Exactly. An insignificant error, unwittingly destroying crucial proof.
When Beaumer got no reply, his desperation hit fever pitch. August arrives, payment deadline looming. He goes beyond letters. He approaches Madame Campan, one of the Queen's trusted ladies-in-waiting.
Tells her his concern. The Queen hasn't paid for the necklace. And this is where the alarm bells finally rang loud and clear at Versailles. Madame Campan was astonished.
Immediately told the Queen.
At once, the King and Queen realized something was very wrong, far more than a misunderstanding. Yet they still scarcely believed that Cardinal de Rohan, a man of his standing, would involve the Queen's name in a dubious purchase without her knowledge, still hoping for an innocent explanation.
But the very idea was enough. Suspecting a scandalous misunderstanding or an outright fraud, the king resolved to get to the bottom of it immediately. Summons Rohan to Versailles, August 15th, 1785. Feast of Assumption. When Rohan was supposed to officiate Mass.
The timing was deliberate. Meant for maximum impact, but handled discreetly. Or so the king hoped. It backfired spectacularly, turning a private inquiry into a public explosion.
What a scene! Rohan arrives, resplendent in his ecclesiastical scarlet robes, totally oblivious, ready for Mass. Instead, met by the king and queen in a private chamber.
Ominous. And Louis VI, holding Beaumer's letters, coldly demanded, where was the diamond necklace?
Rohan's reaction.
Utterly confounded, stammered that he believed the necklace was with the queen as she not received it. Genuine confusion, but it sounded preposterous to them.
Marie Antoinette, furious her name was involved, insisted she had never authorized any such purchase, never seen it. And in that horrifying moment, Rohan realized with horror that he had been duped. His grand plan collapsed.
He then blurted out the truth as he knew it. He had only acted on the Comtesse de la Motte's commission with letters he thought the queen had written, which only enraged the king more.
Louis couldn't believe the naivete.
Couldn't fathom how a worldly cardinal fell for such an obvious forgery. The queen reiterated the signature flaw, Marie Antoinette de France. Never. The king even started suspecting Rohan's complicity.
The king's rage boiled over, and despite warnings it would scandalize the court, Louis made that fateful, impulsive decision. Arrest Rohan on the spot.
Unprecedented, a profound breach of etiquette. Moments later, as Rohan exited the king's chambers, dazed, the Baron de Berteuil, Minister of Justice, stepped forward and arrested him, in full view of the milling courtiers.
Gasps echoed through the magnificent hall of mirrors, an almost unprecedented humiliation of a prince of the church. Public disgrace not seen in living memory.
Courtiers stupefied. Whispers instantly started. Rohan himself, in shock, pleading misunderstanding. He was conveyed swiftly to the Bastille, scarlet robes and all. The news exploded across France. The affair of the diamond necklace was public and about to get far more sensational.
In the chaos that followed, the rest of the conspiracy unraveled fast. Jeanne de la Motte, foolishly flaunting newfound wealth, living large, was quickly tracked down and arrested.
Her accomplices rounded up rapidly. Reteviette, the forger, Nicole d'Oliva, the decoy queen, just a pawn, even Count Cagliostro, the occultist acquaintance of Rohan, falsely implicated by Jean, trying to deflect blame. By September 85, all key players were jailed, awaiting trial.
But Rohan's time in the Bastille wasn't exactly bread and water, was it? The name conjures dungeons, but reality.
Not quite. His imprisonment was remarkably lenient. He had comfortable furnished apartments and even hosted visitors. Privileges unimaginable for most. However, public imagination, fueled by revolutionary ideas, pictured him languishing in a grim dungeon.
So the word Bastille itself worked against the crown.
Hugely. It evokes tyranny. Great sympathy arose for Rohan as a victim of despotism, unjustly shackled by a vengeful queen and king.
So even before the trial, public opinion was turning against the monarchy's handling of it. And Marie Antoinette, despite being innocent, was mortified. Her name was dragged through the mud.
Absolutely. She vehemently denied signing any letters, told her brother she never used that signature. Worse, salacious pamphlets, the libels, started circulating, spreading wild rumors of a sexual tryst between her and Rohan in the garden.
Utterly absurd, given she despised him.
Her allies knew it was absurd. But the public, primed to distrust that Austrian woman, was all too ready to believe these lurid tales.
And just like that, the affair swiftly devolved into a public relations nightmare for the monarchy. The scandal landed squarely on Marie Antoinette, regardless of innocence.
Perfectly designed storm of misinformation, prejudice, and public sentiment. The damage to her reputation was profound, immediate, and ultimately irreversible, cementing her image as everything hated about the Ancien regime.
Which brings us to the trial of the century. May 1786, Paris. Judged not by a royal court, but the prestigious Parliament of Paris. The highest court, but also politically powerful.
Immense public engagement. Crowds gathered daily. Pamphleteers churned out reports and commentary, shaping perception constantly. The royal family pushed incredibly hard for a guilty verdict against Rohan, desperate to clear their names.
But the Parliament, jealous of his power to register royal decrees, bristled at this royal pressure. So the trial became more than a necklace, right? A power struggle.
Absolutely. A test of strength between royal authority and the influential nobility and magistrates of the Parliament. Their defiance wasn't just judicial. It was a profound political statement, challenging the king's authority. The stakes were incredibly high, far beyond Rohan's fate.
In Rohan's defense, they painted him not as a culprit, but an unwitting fool.
Brilliantly done. His lawyers argued his only crime was excessive loyalty, duped by Jean while simply trying to serve the queen's desires.
Posing that rhetorical question, how could such a high-placed man believe such a story?
Exactly. Their answer. Only a trusting, devoted servant could have fallen for it. Rohan played the part perfectly. Heartbroken. Apologizing for the embarrassment of the garden meeting. The sympathetic dupe.
And it worked. Many pitied him as a naive patsy. When the verdict came, May 31st, 1786.
Great cheer rose outside the courtroom. Cardinal de Rohan was acquitted of any wrongdoing. Cleared. A stunning rebuke to the crown.
Public reaction.
Crowds erupted in celebration, a victory against perceived royal overreach. Inside the palace, Marie Antoinette, bitterly disappointed, devastated. Louis XVI enraged, his authority openly flouted.
And Louis, retaliating despite the acquittal, dismissed Rohan from all offices, banished him from court, exiled him.
A desperate act of personal vengeance. But in the public eye, it backfired. It solidified Rohan as a martyr. He had escaped the queen's wrath, and that made him something of a popular hero. Painted the queen as vindictive, a spectacular self-inflicted wound.
What about the others? Did the Parliament show similar leniency?
It's fascinating. Their fates reflected the shifting politics. Relative leniency for several, maybe unwilling to seem too harsh after rebuking the king on Rohan. Nicole d'Oliva, the decoy prostitute, acquitted. Tearfully testified she didn't know the plot, seen as a pawn.
Cagliostro.
Acquitted too. No real involvement. Though the king still expelled him from France as a precaution.
And Villette, the forger, central to the deception.
Indeed. Found guilty of forgery but got a surprisingly light punishment. Simply banished from the kingdom. Nicolas de la Motte, Jean's husband, fled abroad with the loot, tried in absentia, sentenced to life as a galley slave if caught. Never was.
But Jeanne de la Motte, the chief architect, she felt the full force of royal justice, brutally public.
She certainly did. Convicted of fraud and theft. Her punishment was designed as a terrifying public spectacle, a message. June 1786, dragged into the public courtyard of the Palais de Justice.
Stripped naked, whipped savagely, and then branded.
Yes. With a red-hot branding iron, the letter V for Valouz, thief. Due to her struggles, it seared off target onto her breast. Horrifying. Bystanders were shocked at the severity. Even those who hated her shuddered, a ghastly scene not soon forgotten.
After that, Life imprisonment in the Salpêtrière, a grim women's prison. But incredibly, her story doesn't end there.
No. 2 years later, 1788, she managed to escape prison by disguising herself as a boy and fled to London. And from there, continued her destructive work.
Publishing memoirs.
Inflammatory memoirs. In 1789, year of the Revolution, portraying herself as an innocent victim, vilifying Marie Antoinette even more, spreading this lurid narrative that the queen had indeed conspired to obtain the necklace and scapegoated Jean.
Sensational stuff, perfect for the public mood.
And while almost certainly lies, fabricated for sympathy, they found an eager audience. Jeanne herself died destitute in London in 1791, a mysterious fall from a window, fleeing debt collectors. But by then, the damage in France was fully done.
So, for Marie Antoinette, the diamond necklace affair was a personal catastrophe, public execution of her character, despite being completely innocent.
Utterly destroyed her reputation. The scandal entrenched the public's perception of her as a corrupt, spendthrift, and immoral queen. In the popular imagination, it hardly mattered that she never wanted the necklace. The acquittal of Rohan was seen as proof Marie Antoinette must be guilty of something.
If he's innocent, she must be guilty. Twisted logic.
Exactly. And the pamphlets took on new vengeance, vicious nicknames, Madame Deficit, blaming her for all France's money woes, and l'Autrichienne, the Austrian woman, but with that cruel pun, Austrian bitch.
Highlighting her foreignness, casting her as an enemy.
The libels continued spreading wild stories, the sexual tryst, plots against Rohan. That infamous cartoon showing Rohan kneeling, handing her the necklace, her in a lewd pose, implying favors exchange.
Again, crucial to stress. None of these obscene allegations were true, but the public, primed by years of suspicion, was all too ready to believe the worst about Marie Antoinette, her actual character. Irrelevant.
Years of accusations, vanity, extravagance, foreign sympathies. Now this scandal seemed to confirm every negative stereotype. Her reputation irreparably damaged. She fell into despair and seclusion, avoiding public appearances due to jeers or cold silence. Utterly broken.
Supporters tried rehabilitating her image. That famous 1787 portrait, Marie Antoinette and her children, depicting her as a loving mother, even with the empty cradle for her recently deceased infant.
A desperate attempt. But the portrait was mocked, dismissed as manipulation. The damage was too deep. Her maternal virtues failed to win back hearts. As revolution neared, Marie Antoinette became a liability to the monarchy, a potent symbol of royal excess and alleged depravity, a scapegoat for France's woes.
Accused of treasonous correspondence, other misdeeds.
Many exaggerated or false, but widely believed. The diamond necklace affair had indelibly painted her as the embodiment of royal corruption. In the court of public opinion, the queen was the true villain, despite her innocence. A brutal, tragic fate.
Now, historians debate. Did the affair cause the revolution? Probably too simple, but its timing and impact, undeniably pivotal. 1785-86, just years before 1789.
It was, for many, the last straw. Broke their faith. It starkly revealed an impression of royal decadence and incompetence. Here's a queen, people thought, secretly indulging in million-livre necklaces while the government was bankrupt and commoners starved.
And a king so weak he couldn't even punish a cardinal who supposedly wronged his wife.
The optics were disastrous. Painted this picture. A corrupt court and a feeble monarchy. Confirmed what Enlightenment writers warned. The ancient regime was rotting and unjust.
What's more, the affair emboldened the parliament and others to defy the king.
Louis's attempt to assert authority by arresting Rohan backfired spectacularly when the parliament acquitted him, overriding the king's wishes, a public statement of independence.
A clear setback for royal prestige, highlighted the crown versus nobility struggle, and the public applauded the parliament's independence.
Further eroding royal authority, all these ripples weakened the monarchy's aura just as France was sliding into irreversible financial chaos. By 87, when new taxes were desperately needed, resistance was fierce. Creditors openly mistrusted Madame Deficit and her judgment. Governance became nearly impossible.
And the combination came swiftly. July 1789, storming of the Bastille. October 89, the mob forces Louis and Marie Antoinette out of Versailles.
Marie Antoinette's fate, sealed partly by the hatred fanned in 85-86, was to become a prisoner, executed by guillotine October 1793. Chillingly, in her trial, prosecutors dredged off every accusation, including the lurid charges from the diamond necklace affair, to paint her as a monster. The necklace haunted her to the end.
So while it's too simple to say the necklace affair caused the revolution, deeper forces were at play. Economic woes, class injustice, Enlightenment ideas.
Its significance is hugely significant as a spark on dry tinder. It wasn't the fire, but it was definitely the ignition. It sowed seeds of anti-monarchical feeling at a critical moment,
Provided that captivating symbol.
a tangible symbol of the crown's supposed corruption and folly. As historian Simon Kama observed, after the affair, the queen herself was the scandal, and that taint spread fatally to the entire Bourbon regime.
When the people rose up, stormed those gates, the glittering, cursed shadow of the diamond necklace was there, lingering as evidence the old order deserved to fall. A powerful rallying cry.
The affair remains one of history's most fascinating, dramatic, cautionary tales. This heady mix of ambition, greed, deception, hubris, all against the backdrop of a crumbling ancient regime.
Its narrative has inspired countless retellings, plays, novels, because it feels almost too dramatic, too intricate, too improbable to be true.
Doesn't it? A naive cardinal, a con woman countess, a fateful string of diamonds, a queen's honor caught tragically in the balance. All the elements of a sensational novel.
But for Marie Antoinette, tragically real. It destroyed her image at the worst possible time and hastened her tragic end. The necklace she never wanted, the one she rejected, became the moral noose around her reputation.
It's this poetic, tragic twist. The last great scandal of the Bourbons, encapsulating its flaws. A court disconnected from sense, truth lost amid intrigue, public opinion turning explosively.
An observer noted, had it not actually happened, nobody would believe it's simply too juicy, complex, and implausible for fiction.
But happen it did, with consequences no one involved could have possibly foreseen.
The Queen of France, innocent of the crime, yet she paid the highest price.
Only 4 short years later, revolutionaries abolished the monarchy, and they remembered the diamond necklace affair as a powerful symbol of why the old order deserved to die. This glittering necklace, intended as a love gift for a king's mistress, instead became an instrument of destiny. Helped topple a queen, herald a new era.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What seemingly small, contained scandal in today's world might be planting seeds for a much larger societal shift, years or decades down the line.
That's a question worth mulling over.